Welcome pupils. In our today's mathematics lesson, we want to look at the second topic in class 8, that is fractions. This is not the first time actually you are learning fractions. You've learned fraction all the way from the lower classes up to this level. Now, what we have to do, we should just go through some of the examples of fractions and you see what you're supposed to do in an exam. Here, we are going to start with addition of fractions. How to add fractions. And I want you to follow the steps on how you can be able to add fractions like what we have written on the board here. Follow me with the steps. Make sure that you are equipped yourself with the steps. Then you'll be able to get the questions right. Given such a question that take 2 1/3 plus 5 1/4 plus 5 over 8. What are you supposed to do as a pupil when you get such like a question? Number one, first of all, add whole numbers and fractions separately. Add whole numbers and fractions separately. That means I'll be able to take the whole numbers here, that is 2 plus 5 plus 5. Then I add fractions separately. I have 1/3 plus 1/4 plus 5 over 8. This is what you're supposed to do. Add fractions and also add whole numbers separately. Then step number 2, after you've added, this is 12 plus. In fractions, you've learned how to add fractions from class 4 and 5. That for you to add fractions, make sure you find the LCM of the denominators. And our denominators here are 3, 4, and 8. These are our denominators. Find the LCM. We don't want to go back to get the LCM because you already know these things. You already know that the LCM of 3, 4, and 8 is supposed to be 24. The LCM is supposed to be 24. So you add the fractions using the LCM of 3, 4, and 8, which is 24. How many times can you get the groups of 3 from 24? Those are 8 times. So I'll take the 8, multiply it by the numerator, which is 1, and I get 8 plus. How many times can you get a group of 4 from 24? That is 6 times. Take that 6, multiply it by the numerator, which is 1, you'll get 6 plus. How many groups of 8 can you get from 24? That is 3 groups. Multiply that 3 with the numerator, which is 5, and get 15. Such that I have 12 plus 8 plus 6 plus 15. 8 plus 6 will give us 14. 14 plus 15 gives us 29 out of 24. You have told that when you're in class 6 and class 5 that never should you leave your answer the way it is. Never should you leave your answer when it is into improper fraction. That change this improper fraction into a mixed fraction. And how do you change an improper fraction into a mixed fraction? Just do long division. That divide 24 and 29. Such that how many times can 24 go into 29? You'll find it is once because of 24. When I subtract, I remain with 5. Which means when I change the improper fraction 29 over 24 as a mixed fraction, I'll get 1 whole, which is here. The remainder becomes my part of the numerator in that fraction. Then the dividend here, which is 24, becomes my denominator. From here, also repeat the first procedure, that add whole numbers first. Therefore, I'll add whole numbers that I have, which is 12 and 1. They'll give me 12 and 1 plus the fraction that remains, that's 5 out of 24. When I add 12 plus 1, I'll get 13, then 5 out of 24 as the correct answer for our question. As the correct answer for our question. That is how you are supposed to do addition of mixed fraction. Then let us go through subtraction. Let us go through subtraction of fractions. Subtraction of fractions. And this is the example I want us to use. You have 3/4 minus 2.5 minus 1/4. 3/4 minus 2.5 minus 1/4. How are you supposed to carry out that working? I want to encourage you pupils that during subtraction, avoid subtracting whole numbers first. The reason is that there is sometimes you are going to get less fraction that you're supposed to do borrowing. And when it comes to borrowing in fractions, pupils don't do it well. Therefore, if you get a question on subtraction of fractions, the best way, the easiest way to do it, it is changing the mixed fraction into improper fraction. Then you work out using the LCM. This is what we are saying in short, that change this 3.25 and 2.5 into improper fraction. How do you change a mixed fraction in improper fraction? We said take the whole number, multiply by the denominator, add it to the numerator, then put everything over the denominator. In working, let's see, take the whole number, which is 3, multiply it by the denominator, which is 4, we are going to get 12, plus the numerator, which is 1, we'll get 13, and everything over the denominator here, which is 4. The same applies to 2.5. Take 2 whole number, multiply by the denominator, which is 2, add the numerator, that is 1. You'll have 2 times 2, that's 4, plus 1, you get 5/2 minus 1/4. Then from there, you now solve out using the LCM. Find the LCM of the denominators, that is 4, 2, and 2. The LCM is supposed to be good, 4. How many groups of 4 can you obtain from 4? It's one group. So take that one, multiply it by the numerator, which is 13, you'll get 13. Subtract. How many groups of 2 can you get from 4? Those are 2 groups. Take that 2, multiply it by 5, you'll get 10. Subtract. How many groups of 4 can you obtain from 4? It's only 1. Take that one, multiply it by the numerator, you get 1. Then you can now subtract. 13 subtract 10, that is 3. 3 subtract 1, you'll get 2/4. And that is not the correct answer for this question. Most pupils will fail when they reach at this point. And remember, this is the last point. What are you supposed to do? Don't leave your answer when it can be simplified. Make sure now you simplify it further. That 2 can divide into 2 how many times? 1. 2 divided into 4 how many times? 2. Such that our correct answer is supposed to be 1/2. Therefore, when I take 3/4, subtract 2.5, subtract 1/4, I get 1/2. That's how you are supposed to carry out subtraction. Let me just go through the steps, then you'll be able to do more examples on subtraction of fractions, especially the ones that involve mixed fractions. Step number 1, I have said that you as a pupil avoid subtracting whole numbers first during subtraction. Avoid subtracting, which means change the mixed fractions into improper fractions. And how do we change a mixed fraction as improper fraction? You take the whole number, multiply by the denominator, you add to the numerator, then put everything over the denominator that you had. That's what we have done here. After that, you are now having mixed improper fractions. All of them are now fractions. Use or solve the fractions using the LCM of the denominators, which is 4, 2, and 4. When you find the LCM of the 4, 2, and 4, you'll get that the LCM is 4. Work out everything using that LCM. Then when you get your answer and you find that the answer can be simplified further, then go on and simplify so that you can have a simplified answer as I have in our case here. That's how you're supposed to carry out subtraction and addition of fractions. In the next lesson, we'll be looking at multiplication and division.